Hey, very, very exciting here. Welcome, everybody. Very excited you are all here tonight. Welcome to the Integrative and Wellness and Development Show. My name is Mike DeLuca. I am your host and very excited that you're all here. A special welcome to the folks who are joining us on Facebook. Also, all the folks who bravely have joined us here in our Zoom room. Very, very grateful that you're all here. I think we have an extremely exciting and informative show for you tonight. Um, I've known these guests for a while. I'm very, very familiar with the amazing technology that they are working with, and we're going to talk all about that tonight. But first, I have, the typical information I have to give at the beginning of every show, and that is this show, the Integrative Wellness and Development Podcast, is an educational show only. We do not make any claims about diagnosing, healing, treating, or preventing any illness, any condition. We do not make specific treatment or result claims about the technology you're going to hear about or any technology discussed on this program. Very important that we let you know that. My show is all about education. I hope to educate you, inspire you, at times maybe perspire you, get you sweating a little bit in making an effort to research and implement technology practices, mindsets, personal development keys that can make your life a healthier, happier life. So very, very grateful you're here. That's who we are. That's what we're going to be talking about. And at this point, I want to share my screen to enable us to talk about our special guests tonight. Our special guests are two very, very amazing people. First off, again, this show is going to be focusing on this technology called Monicor. And our two guests are first Dr. Luba Diangar. Dr. Luba is the founder and owner of Monicor USA. Monicor USA device is registered with the FDA as a Class 2 device and is manufactured here in the United States. Dr. Luba is a research scientist focused on clinical and home use devices. For those of you not familiar, we'll talk a little bit about Monicor. Dr. Luba has served as a doctor of natural medicine, a diplomat, a member of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, is a member of the European Academy of Science. She also has a master's degree in genetic engineering and a PhD in medical sciences. She spent more than 10 years working for NASA in Houston, Texas, in the program for life support systems in space. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about the use of Monicor in space. Dr. Luba previously worked for the FDA, helped train doctors on the use of high-tech diagnostic equipment and software. She specialized in performing detailed assessments of the cardiovascular and digestive systems, brain functions, digestive systems, brain functions, antioxidants, and focused on an extensive array of other parameters. Okay. Dr. Luba has the exclusive distribution rights and assembly for Monicor in the USA. She works with doctors providing instruction on the extensive use of Monicor protocols in clinical practice. So Dr. Luba, welcome to the show. Very excited you're here. And I'm going to introduce Ann, that I'm going to have both of you unmute, and we will jump right into talking a little bit more about Monicor. Ann Archer-Butcher, I've known Ann for decades. Ann has lived an extraordinary life, and she is an extraordinary human being. She's a best-selling author and internationally renowned speaker. She's a book editor and video producer. But her awareness and healing began when she was swept out to sea by a riptide and rescued by dolphins from a shark attack. the dolphins not only carried her to shore, but they took turns touching her. And she believes they changed her vibration that day and helped open the door to a big shift in her life. She has since been on a journey of healing that has taught her some extraordinary lessons about how this vibratory universe really works, even in the face of stage 4 cancer of a family member. And we're going to talk quite a bit about that tonight as well. So again, we're not going to be making claims that it does this and it does that and cures this and cures that. What we're going to be talking about first is the technology behind this device. And then we're going to talk about how it works, why it works. And then we'll have some stories shared by Dr. Luba and by Anne. So with that, Dr. Luba and Anne, would you be kind enough to unmute yourselves?
Thank you, Mike. That was great. What a lovely introduction for both.
Well, two lovely people, two amazing people, two brilliant people. And again, I'm honored, not only grateful, but I'm honored to have you on the show and to be able to share your wisdom with the folks watching. So let's just jump right into this, okay? First of all, the topic of tonight has to do with the foundation of what Monicor is about, and that is bioresonance energy therapy. Okay. Now, there might be folks out there who already know what that is. I didn't really understand what that was until you introduced me to a Monicor and the technology. But apparently, it's the only device in the world that combines AI, artificial intelligence, endogenous and exogenous frequencies, acupuncture and reflexodiagnostics and treatment capabilities. And it allows us to assess and assist the body in naturally balancing the cause of health challenges we may be facing. So it basically enables the body to do what the body was designed to do. And bioresonant energy, from my understanding, bioresonant energy is how our body communicates, how the organs and everything communicate through bioresonant energy. But this is also a device that can talk to our body, talk to the organs, the acupuncture through the acupuncture meridians, and find out what's needed, where challenges are, and how to help the body do what it was designed to do, and that's be healthy. Is that an accurate summary by a layperson who doesn't know much?
Absolutely. Yes.
That was great. It's
Great.
frequency. That's it, what it's all about.
Didn't Tesla say that, right? Didn't Tesla say when we begin to understand that everything is about frequency and vibration, we will understand the mysteries of the universe, and we would understand the mysteries of the human body and how to reach that, ideal state of healthiness, right? And ease versus dis-ease. So Dr. Luba, could you tell us a little bit about bioresonant frequency and how it works, and then how Monicor is able to talk to the body?
Yes, thank you for inviting me, and I will be happy to explain in easy terms. First of all, Einstein also said that the future of medicine will be frequency medicine. Right? So, and here we are with the frequencies, because now we got a lot of knowledge about frequencies and much more than even 20 years ago. So Monicor turning 25-year-old this year. And
happy birthday!
Yes, happy birthday to Monicor, right?
All of us.
And yeah, so Monicor has a patented technology. It's several patents been filed over the years, and it's the only device dealing with endogenous frequency, like you said, and exogenous. And endogenous is the key of healing of the body, because endogenous frequency, that's where the very fine, very low frequencies that each organ of your body works. on those frequencies. And Monicor has a very complex calculation, mathematical calculation that done kind of similar to AI because it's evaluate in the seconds 600 points associated with organs. And each organ, it's already like if it's a healthy organ, so it's set to work on very small frequency range, let's say 0.1 or 2 hertz or 2 something. And if your organ doesn't work on that frequency and it has a problem, Monicor quickly figuring out what needed to generate, what kind of frequency need to be generated to bring that organ to the best shape as possible. Because there is a certain mathematical formula and even geometrical formula behind it, geometrical form behind it. So, frequency need to be generated with a precision of a tenth of a thousandth of a hertz. For example, like frequency maybe 2 point and there's a 5 numbers behind after the point. So that's why Monicor is so effective, because it's a concierge medicine. It generates frequencies that person need today to be in the best shape it's possible. And that's the very important point, because all other devices work on average frequencies. And they already preset, and those average frequency will work maybe for some people, and for some people they won't. And lots of average frequency dealing with infections, for example, and Monicor dealing with organs and systems to leave the body in the best shape and make the organs to work in that perfect range of as much as possible. And it's create certain pattern. When initially you start using Monicor, you will see a pattern of yourself. And let's say that pattern, if so what I was thinking, that if the person developing disease because it's stuck, that person stuck on a certain pattern for many years. And if nothing changed, the pattern initially lead to the disease. And what Monicor does, it's removing that pattern. Like today, you may be showing that pattern, and Monicor will change the pattern because it will try to move your function of the organs in a specific range that they have to be. And it's not only trying to put the organs in that specific frequency range, it's also checking how your body doing during the treatment. So this is a smart device. It's not only deciding what to generate for you and what organs to treat at the priority or prioritizing the organs. It's also checking every 3 minutes how you're doing, and if the organ doesn't move to the certain frequency range of function, it will generate another frequency. It will calculate maybe hundreds of different frequencies and will try to move the function into where it's supposed to be. Of course, it's not always possible for other reasons, like structural damage, maybe chemical damage with the body, but whatever it's possible, it will change. So even one treatment is super effective. And I was just treating the lady in Spain one time only. She's my friend, and she asked me to treat for thyroid because she always called. And then today she called me and she said, "Oh, she got some kind of wound on her foot that been for years. It's some kind of infection would not go away." And she said, "I noticed that infection is gone." So Monicor make decision, to treat additional things, and the body start recovering because the immune system becomes stronger. And that's the essential of the Monicor.
Okay. So you mentioned that this machine is going to be celebrating, this technology is going to be celebrating its 25th birthday. In our conversations, I was really amazed when you told me over those years, it has been used in outer space. It has been used by astronauts. It has been used by Olympic and high performance athletes and their physicians. It's been used by physicians and by healthcare practitioners. It's capable of helping the average everyday person who does not have advanced training. But you have an amazing customer service group. You have an amazing manual and videos and training. You know, this I've heard it being called the 22nd century, that a 22nd century device for healthcare here in the 21st century available to everyone. And in addition to the stories you told me about being used in space and athletes, we have an individual that I invited here, and that's Anne, who has a very personal story, a very dramatic story. And again, it's a personal story. We're not going to make any claim that everybody is going to have the experience that, she and a family member had. But the more and more I get involved with using the equipment and training to use it better, I'm hearing more and more stories like this. I'd like to invite Anne. Anne, would you first tell us how you began using the equipment? What was the circumstances? What was the results? And why are you so passionate about it now?
Well, I've known about this type of equipment, Mike, for years. I'm sort of a researcher in this field because our daughter, when she was 9, had a school nurse break a mercury thermometer in her mouth. And so she became extraordinarily ill. She was poisoned. Even the Center for Disease Control told us they didn't know if she would live. They expected she would have multiple cancers. And our feeling was not on our watch. We're going to heal our daughter. We're going to find a way. So we began to search out the best of the best medicine all over the world. And we have been able to mitigate all that damage. Yes, it all happened. Yes, we've been able to resolve it all. But in the process, we discovered that there were machines like this. And I just want to start out by saying, because one of the biggest things I hear from people, they say, well, how does this differ from everything else? From my experience, it's like night and day. Because when my husband became sick, we were looking for the best machine. We knew there were lots of machines out there, some that cost 4 or 5 times more than Dr. Luba's machine cost, but they didn't compare. They just didn't compare. And when our friend told us about this, it was like, yes, this is a technology we've heard about, but this whole business of what AI does in the Monicor, we'd heard about it, but we'd never seen it. And he said, well, Dr. Luba lives right here at the time in California where we live. And my husband had been diagnosed with stage 4 metastasized melanoma that had gone into his parotid gland under the ear where you hold your cell phone, with 5 rapidly growing large tumors that involved nerves that went straight to the brain. And the doctors told us that it was terminal cancer. And, it was shocking to my husband's system, but his response was to say, I need to go to the restroom. So he got up and went to the bathroom. But the doctor kept speaking, and he said, your husband only has weeks to live and blah, blah, blah. And I said, don't say that to him. And he said, well, he deserves to know. And I said, well, then I deserve to be the one to tell him. We know a lot of natural things, and, we'll address this ourselves. And he goes, he's thinking herbs. And he said, there's nothing in your pantry that's going to cure stage 4 metastasized melanoma. This melanoma kills people very rapidly, and you need to take that very seriously. Okay, so he didn't tell my husband. I told him I would sue him if he repeated those words to my husband in my husband's presence. And so when Alden came out of the bathroom, we simply left and we went home. We cried a little bit. And I said, what do you want to do? And he said, well, first I'll practice changing my attitude. So he decided that he would give love to every cell of his body, that was a beautiful part. I mean, that didn't take long to sort out what that would mean for him. He watched funny movies, he laughed, he got into a very lighthearted mood and stayed there. But he also said, I want you to find the latest and greatest machine out there that deals with frequency. We knew exactly what we were looking for. We just didn't know the name. We didn't know how to find it, but I began to make phone calls. Next thing you know, we're being introduced to Dr. Luba. The first thing that I experienced was her level of confidence was just off the charts. And I thought, maybe I better take her aside and privately, because I never told Alden what the doctor said. He never knew that he had only weeks to live. But I took Dr. Luba aside and I said, here's the diagnosis. And I gave her all the details, including how long they said that he would live. And I said, so what do you feel, is realistic? And she says, oh, he'll be fine. And I was like, did she not understand me? But her confidence was so radiant. It was just so alive that even I, sat up a little straighter and thought, well, maybe she knows what she's talking about. Obviously, the doctors don't have any hope. I'm going with the lady with the confidence. We're going to do whatever she says. Now, we figured cancer takes a long time to develop. So we figured we'd be in this deal of working with cancer for a year at least. And we settle down for, this is our new lifestyle. We're just going to work with cancer. But Mike, 10 weeks later, all of a sudden, those tumors just disappeared. In week 9, we thought, are they getting smaller? In week 10, we were like, where did they go? I mean, Alden's neck, here he had these big protrusions on his neck, and suddenly they just disappeared. And where they used to be, it looked like someone pressed in and left an indent. And so we raced to the surgeon to say, did we just cure incurable cancer, or did it go internal? We don't know enough about cancer to know. And that surgeon, who was a Harvard grad, almost fainted. I mean, the man started shaking. He said, I have to sit down. He said, what on earth did you do? And I said, remember I told you we know a lot of natural things? And he goes, no, I can't even imagine. He said, we have billions of dollars, billions with a B, he emphasized. We have the finest minds in the world, and we can't do this. We can't touch this. What has happened here? So we tried to explain to him about the Monicor and the right attitude. And he's like, you're so far over my pay grade. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, I'm a surgeon. I cut. And he said, I'm going to hook you up with the oncologist, the head of research oncology for UC San Diego, because she's going to want to hear about this. He said, we have a diagnosed case of one of the most serious cancers on the planet that we have nothing, absolutely nothing that will touch it. And it's gone in 10 weeks or less. He goes, I have no idea what's happened here. And so we set up that appointment. She had this wide open schedule. Alden asked her, why are you so positive? Because, most doctors aren't, and they don't even know what you're talking about. And she said, I feel like I'm sitting in the presence of the future of medicine, and I get to interview the future. I want to know everything you did. And I mean, she wanted to know, how do you spell Monicor? Where do I find the website? Who's the doctor behind this? Where did the research come from? She wanted to know everything. Any herb that he had taken, what food he ate. Now, the funny thing was, I mean, I definitely do not advocate what we did, except for the Monicor and a few other really good things. But Alden lost so much weight so fast because I tried to use, the standard of care is to eat more of a high protein vegetable diet to not feed the cancer. And I tried that with Alden, and he lost over 20 pounds just like that. And Alden didn't have 20 pounds to lose. So it was not a good scene. And the one thing that the surgeon helped me with, I called my Harvard surgeon. This is early on, like week 2, when Alden lost all that weight. And I said, my husband lost a radical amount of weight in the last 10 days. Can you help me? He's lost over 20 pounds. And he said, feed him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Now, that's obviously going to feed cancer, but we fed him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because I didn't want him to die because he was too thin. So we cured incurable cancer on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich diet. And we did it with the Monicor. And, I know that's absurd. You really wouldn't want to do that. Now, we also gave him good herbs and things to take when he ate the peanut butter and jelly, but still organic peanut butter and jelly. That's what it was. And I told Dr. Luba that's what we were doing. She goes, that's fine. Don't worry about it. He needs to keep his weight up. She just remained so positive. So we go back to her after 10 weeks. She's delighted. She said, oh, I didn't think it would take very long, but that's good, 10 weeks. And we're like, 10 weeks, 10 weeks. That's unbelievable. And yet there it was. And we waited. You didn't find out about it right away. Our other friends didn't find out about it right away because we waited to see, Mike, would it come back? Have we really cured cancer? We didn't own a Monicor yet. We didn't even know you could own a Monicor yet. That was evolving because Dr. Luba knew people would need training and, how do you do that? And then one of our friends became sick. She came to see us and I took her to see Dr. Luba, and Dr. Luba said, oh, she needs regular care for the next 10 days while she's at your house. You need to use the Monicor. Sometimes you use it every other day. Sometimes you use it 10 days on, 10 days off. She said she needs 10 days of the Monicor. And I'm like, we can't stand here at the beach for 10 days. We've got to go back home. I live in wine country, where in the middle of north of San Diego, in the middle of California. And she said, well, just take the machine home and I'll teach you how to use it over the phone. To me, that was life-changing, to discover that we could learn how to use this machine, that we could own a machine, that we could use it regularly in our lives. And at our age, I'll be 75 at my birthday. My husband's 80. That was a game changer. And sure enough, with a little bit of Russian fussing at me in the middle and a lot of, English fussing at me, she taught me how to use the Monicor. In an hour or 2 or less, I was proficient. Now, learned a ton more. And we've helped with training with Dr. Luba, from the bottom of our hearts. We are so grateful for this, but that's how we were introduced to Dr. Luba, and that's how we met the Monicor, and that's the results that Alden got. A lot more to that story, but that's the basics.
So, to stop for a second and kind of backtrack, you don't hook a machine to yourself and then the problem disappears like abracadabra. So from learning about the machine, I was fascinated with how it is able to communicate to the body. It's able to find things that are going on outside the body that even many standardized blood tests and medical tests don't find. For example, there are many internal causes to certain types of cancer. There are parasites, and there's bacteria, infections, and there's all kinds of, energy imbalances and inflammations, and there's all kinds of stuff going on that you can't see. But somehow this machine has the ability to communicate to the cells and to the organs what's going on in there. And then, Dr. Luba, you were able to create what you call protocols so that the machine can, over time, you develop these protocols so that and under certain conditions, the machine will work best if you tell it to do this and this and this and this, but also allow the AI to tell you what it needs to do. So this is why I call it 22nd, century stuff, because there's intelligence here talking to me. Now that I'm hooking myself up, it's talking to me and saying, oh, you have all of these things going on, things that didn't even know. Or I had somebody hooked up to it that, had a hysterectomy. And the machine said, oh, there's no uterus. You don't have a uterus. It's like, how would you know that, right? If this was just, this was woo-woo, how would it know those things? I had someone who had his colon completely removed, and it said, "Oh, you don't have any colon." So I want to make this point that it's not going to just zap things. What it's doing is it is communicating at an extremely deep level, on a cellular level, and on a the acupuncture meridian level and the acupuncture body system level. The other amazing thing is it can actually show you what's going on with maps and with pictures and with measurements, very specific measurements. And you can see, as it's treating you, you can see the change, the improvements right in front of your eyes. That blew me away. That blew me away, the ability to do that. So, for folks who are listening right now, I just want to make that point that you don't hook somebody up with a serious medical challenge and it doesn't just zap it away with a magic wand. It's dealing with what were the root causes, right? External to the body and internally in the body, that need to be addressed and balanced. But it's so intelligent, it knows what that is. It knows how to deal with those specific different situations. And it already has a plan. It has a plan for everything that's going on in your body. To me, that's absolutely incredible. And again, I don't work for Monicor. I didn't get paid to have them on the show today. I don't sell the equipment, right? I'm telling you this because I feel it is so important that we be aware of this kind of technology. I personally believe this technology has been around for thousands of years. That's a whole nother show. But, for for this show, this technology is something I think everybody needs to at least start investigating. Bioresonant energy and the ability to communicate on a cellular and organ level. And this allows me to have like a master level acupuncturist living in my house 24/7. That was my dream. One day I would be able to get somebody to live here and treat me every day. Well, I have it, and it's in my computer and in a box, right? So I wanted to make that statement because it's really important, right? So with that, and you had another personal story that you did not even expect to happen. Could you share that? And then we're going to go back to Dr. Luba and see if there's anything else she wants to talk about before we open it up for questions. Because I can see in the faces of everybody out there, I have a question. I want to know more. I want to know this. So.
Of course, briefly, I did want to say too, this business about how it compares with other things, because there's machines out there like Rolf machines, things that I knew about. But when we went to buy our first Monicor, when we realized we could own it, Dr. Luba now lived in Las Vegas, and we were going to pick up our Monicor, bring this baby home. We were so excited and get a little bit of training at the same time. And I told a friend of mine about it, and he said, let me come with you. I know a lot about frequency medicine, and I've got a lot of very high-end machines, and I'd like to see what you're, putting your money on. And I said, okay, come with us. So we all went to Vegas together. And I knew his attitude was that he intended to talk me out of this. And I thought that was kind of interesting. The machine already helped Alden, right? With all of this great results, why would you think you've got machine? Because they cost more money. That's why. And so he thought maybe, they were better. So he wanted to meet Dr. Luba, ask her a bunch of questions. I'd ask her if that was okay. We went to Vegas. And what was interesting was he went in, he got all his questions answered, and he sat there and I said, so what do you want to do? And he goes, I'm getting a Monicor, and walked out with the Monicor. And I'm like, that's interesting. Are you going to incorporate it with the other things you've got? He goes, I'm selling everything else I have. This is the real deal. And so, you know, we're very, very grateful to Dr. Luba because she's worked on the technology diligently. We've seen it vastly improve even over the last 5 years. Dr. Luba, you've done so much work, and it's just incredible that you offer it to us, and we do appreciate that. But for me, despite the fact that Alden was all now well, I still believed that I had malaria for 10 years, and I'd been told by 3 international doctors that it was incurable, that the parasite lived in your liver, and that if you took the drugs that could kill the parasite, it would destroy your liver, and therefore this is what you have. You have a recurring malaria, and I personally got it every single month. If I took a walk with my dog, I ended up with shivering shakes and felt like I'd been kicked in the back, and I was very, very sick, and it was terrible. And my liver hurt all the time, and it was just a very bad situation. But I never expected the Monicor to help me get over that malaria. I had accepted the fact that it was incurable. From the very first time that I used the Monicor, I have never had malaria again. We're talking over 5 years now. I've never had even the slightest hint, and I'm bad. I eat birthday cake and ice cream and all the things that I never touched back then because I know the Monicor helps me to mitigate the damage. Now I try to be good. I eat organic. I eat gluten-free. I do all kinds of good things, but I also do bad things. And now, Mike, this is what I told you. Instead of having to be very, very careful about my physical activity or my liver would get over stimulated and I would get malaria, I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to get out of bed, get my dog and go for a walk. That's what I want to do. And when I have the time, I get Alden to drive me a further distance away so that I can have a much longer hike. And then I run up and down hills and I play like a little kid. And that energy level, I'm about to be 75 years old. That energy level to me feels like a 10-year-old kid. That's how I feel. And so that for me, without ever having told anyone I have malaria, we never told that machine, go work on her liver. Obviously, the Monicor just went in and said, oh, look, parasite, oh, there you go, gone, done. And to me, that was absolutely miraculous. It was as miraculous as dealing with the cancer so efficiently. I don't even know if it happened month 1 or month 2. We were going to see Dr. Luba 2 or 3 times a week, but never had malaria again. I had a heart condition. The heart condition cleared up. I mean, I'm now going to actually go see a heart doctor because I think that I should have one. But at the time, they wanted to give me a pacemaker. Instead, I have the Monicor, and I use the Monicor every other night. That's what my husband and I do. So every condition that I thought that I had that was a part of my history and getting older, it all went away. And it evolved or whatever, you know, it's no longer a part of me. And I never even think from that perspective. And recently, you know, Dr. Luba has upgraded the machine and put in the technology that's just above and beyond. She's got a brain program in there. And I almost believe this happened so that I would experience it because I got whiplash. This was about 3 months ago. I got whiplash when Alden hit the brakes really hard. And I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning vomiting. And I was so dizzy, I couldn't get out of bed. I had to wake up Alden and say, you got to walk me to the bathroom. I have vertigo and a headache and vomiting. And I didn't have a Monicor at the time. I'd met a doctor who really needed and wanted one immediately. So I'd given him mine. And I was waiting for another one to come and I didn't have a Monicor. And So I was like that for 10 days, just vomiting nonstop, sick as a dog, headache terrible. Finally, the Monicor arrives and Alden hooked me up to it. And one time using the new program, the neuroencephalogram program, one single time, and all of it stopped. Headache gone, vomiting gone, neck pain gone. It's just miraculous. And I thought, gosh, I had this business trip I was supposed to go on that I'd told everybody I'm not going to be able to go. And I called and go, I think I'm going to come. 2 days later, I'm on an airplane. And
Yep.
it was perfectly wonderful.
Thank you, and amazing stories. And um, we have a whole bunch of people, Dr. Luba, joining us on Facebook right now. There's someone here named Jeannie, who you know. Jeannie is a 40-year traumatic brain injury survivor, and she's apparently worked with you in the Monicor. She said, this device has helped me heal some very old injuries and health patterns, especially regarding my brain. It has also helped me lower my pain levels down to zero the majority of the time. Could you talk a little bit about, with this new, brain-oriented, aspect, the neuroencephalogram aspect of the Monicor? Can you talk about the relationship between the brain and the acupuncture meridians and the organ systems, and how this new level of Monicor is able to do even more amazing things than before?
So I will answer it right now. Yeah. Okay. The brain, of course, it's the main computer of the body, right? Because all the hormones produced by the brain initially, that everything goes signaling from the brain to the organs. And the Monicor has now a new program. I've been working for 2.5 years in incorporating Dr. Broadman knowledge and his studies about the brain. He divided brain into 58 areas called Broadman areas. And each area of the brain is responsible for certain thing. For example, eye movement, smell, movement of the arms and legs, and so forth, So now we incorporated the Dr. Broadman knowledge and Monicor. So Monicor able to connect part of the brain that's responsible for certain thing, whatever your body does, and actually will tell you in a window. You could read which Broadman area is responsible and where it's located, and you could really go into research if you really want it. So it's kind of maybe more information than needed for average person, but if there's a researcher there, they could really link the symptoms of the person with very specific part of the brain. And what Monicor does, it's normalize certain part of the brain, like lesions of the brain, maybe due to the trauma or stroke and of some kind of damage of the brain, maybe infection in the brain, and it's normalizing this part of the brain using the same endogenous frequencies, that very low frequencies, and link them to the organs that they control. So we actually got the healing of the entire body. That's how it works.
Great, I appreciate that. Um, I'm getting many, many people here, both on Facebook and here on Zoom, asking, how do I get information about the Monicor? How do I contact you, Dr. Luba? I'm putting in the chat right now, info@monicorusa.com. Also, I'd like to share the website so that you all can see the website. It's monicorusa.com. And there is a contact us page, very easy to find. It has info@monicorusa.com. It has a phone number. They give amazing technical support, amazing answers to questions from practitioners and users and potential users. They are in Las Vegas. They're here in the U.S. This equipment is assembled and shipped here in the U.S. Dr. Luba is here in the U.S. I'm very grateful she's here in the US. I have contacted her many times with many questions. So I'll put that up on the screen. It's also in the chat. If you have any questions, if you have a desire to find out how to get the device from where you are, these are shipped here in the United States from Las Vegas. So if you are interested in more information about Monicor and about obtaining a device, I'm so grateful I have one, and I'm just learning now how to use it properly. That's how you get in touch, and you all have that in the chat. At this point, there are a lot of people chomping at the bit. They have questions for Dr. Luba and for Ann. So with that, if you would, if you folks are used to using the golden hand on Zoom, it's found on the bottom where it says react. There's a little heart there. If you click on that react, it says raise hand. And if you do that, I will call on you, based on who in order of who's raised their hands first. We have lots of time to answer your questions. We're not going to leave until the questions are all answered. So with that, who would like to be the first to have a question for Dr. Luba or Ann or both? Now's the time. And there are no silly questions. All questions are important. This is an incredible technology, incredible information. I know we've thrown a lot at you in just a short period of time, but who has specific questions? Okay, Deborah.
I'm gonna
Hi.
put it over to Tina. Hi, Michael. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Tina's got a question.
I have a question. So I have a genetic tremor. I have a familial tremor, runs in my family. And as I'm getting older, it's getting worse. And it's, especially annoying in my hands. But I'm not sure if it's, is this a brain thing that needs fixing? Is this a muscle thing that needs fixing? Dr. Luba, I don't know if you have any experience with that kind of issue.
Specifically, no, I didn't treat anybody, or we don't have experience with that, but it's really doesn't matter because Monicor will make improvement no matter what. And we seen improvement in a tremendous improvement in people with other diseases. When doctor said there's a mutation they have, but it doesn't matter, Monicor still improved the condition tremendously. In some people, it's improved 100%. It all depends of the diseases. So we not really treat particular disease. We treat Monicor treat the whole body, and it will prioritize the organs, and it will address what's needed. So it's kind of give you lots of information while it's treating you, because then in the window it will kind of hint you what is priority, and then it will tell you if it's a muscles or if it's a brain or where is the priority is. And that's how I see. I just didn't see people that they don't benefit from that. But we will be surprised. It might be in one first session you might see the difference, maybe not, but you will probably see difference maybe in something else. So because we treat entire body, and with a certain, it's absolutely concierge medicine, because the Monicor will decide what you need. If we don't use average frequencies, we don't use preset frequencies. I mean, we use preset frequency as additional, but the very important one, that 20 or 30 minutes treatment, that's when Monicor generate frequency that you need, and will tell you where the frequency goes, what it treated, and in what order. So just give you information to, if you like to read. And so that's how it works. So it really doesn't matter what condition, because there will be, Monicor will try to push your body to be in that healthy range, and as much as possible. But sometimes, because it will test you during the treatment. That's important. And it will readjust the treatment. Like, let's say something it's trying to correct and it's not correcting, it will readjust the frequency, readjust the treatment, and you could see how frequency changing, and it will create as many frequencies that your body need, sometimes hundreds of frequencies, and very precise and very low frequencies, because the treatment of the body does with low frequencies. Where we use preset frequencies, that's to address infections. As additional, I believe it will reinforce the healing, because I believe infections in most part in the roots of the problem, different types of infections, and that's how my protocol is set up. So we work on assumption.
Mike,
Thank you.
I'd like to add to what Dr. Luba is saying, that she also has protocols that you mentioned earlier that she recommends, because she believes everyone, for instance, after AI, you can work on cleaning your liver, which she did for Alden. That's how I happened to end up with such a clean and pristine liver. I told you earlier, I just got my blood test back from a big deal physical that I had, and the doctor came out and he goes, well, the good news and the good news is you are in perfect health. And you know, we know that my liver was in terrible shape previously. And I said, well, tell me about my liver. And he goes, your liver's perfect. And I was like, oh my gosh. But it's because we not only did the AI, but we follow Dr. Luba's protocols. So she wants you to get rid of parasites. She wants you to clean your liver. She wants you to detox heavy metals. She wants you to run the emotional program. She has an entire list of things that actually help you to address all the organs of the body. So she helps AI take it a step further. And a part of what you get when you have your own Monicor is you get those directions so that you can, you know, use it on your own and decide what you might want to do. But it's suggested protocols, and they're phenomenal. That's just, it's a great service.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, I guess next, Mark and Lucy. Mark and Lucy, welcome to our show, and thanks for being here. And what is your question? We're not hearing you for some reason. Is your microphone on? Maybe you need to select a different microphone on Zoom.
Now you're muted. There you go. But you're silent.
Yeah, you might want to click on your little audio button on Zoom next to the little microphone. And,
Can you hear this now?
yes, great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we're joining you from Australia. Hi to Anne. We've already spoken to Anne about Monicor some time ago, and so hi to Dr. Luba. Thank you so much for this amazing piece of technology. So we're being here in Australia. You're mentioning that it's available in the US, but we're wondering how we might be able to
Shipped all over the world.
purchase
Mark.
a unit from.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry?
pretty easy. We already shipped before to Australia using FedEx, and it's arrived there on time. And actually, in a few days, it's arrived. And we have several clinics from Australia actually contacted us, and they also will get Monicor. So Australia, it's on our map. Yeah, definitely.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, we will be in the States later in the year, but
We need it now.
You get it now. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Call me. I'll tell you about it. We'll talk.
Yeah.
All right.
And again,
thanks a lot,
Monicor.
thanks, Anne. Yeah.
Thank you, and good luck. And again, MonicorUSA.com is where you want to be going to get more information and to order a device. And again, they ship all over the world. Barbara.
Oh, muted, Barbara.
Yeah, please unmute. Unmute.
Barbara, you're muted.
She's looking for the button. You
Where'd you go?
might be on a
Okay,
phone. There
I
you
got
go.
it. Yes, I was on the phone and it was hard clicking on the right area. So I think Anne sort of answered my question, but I just want to clarify something. Anne had mentioned the oh, by the way, thank you so much for this. This is just absolutely stunning. I love this information, and I'm so happy that to hear about this. But I heard Anne say that there are protocols. So is there, when you receive it, do you start through a protocol in sequence? Number one, if you, or is there something else that you do? How much, and also how much training do I need before I can actually do this myself? Do I have to go to a specific person? Uh, how do I get trained to do this?
Okay, we're
And
going to tell you exactly.
okay, good. All right.
I would love to address that because what happened was I was invited to speak on Coast to Coast Radio, and they have, 8 million listeners. And suddenly Dr. Luba was like, what am I going to do? Everybody is calling because Alden and I were both telling the story. And Mara Lee is a friend of mine, and I knew how exacting and careful she is about everything. And I called her and asked her, could she work with Dr. Luba and the Monicor? And so now when you call customer service, you're actually speaking to Mara Lee. And when you buy your Monicor, you arrange the training with her. And she
Great.
does a spectacular job. And no, Mike, I know you'll address that, but she's just incredible. She will tell you exactly what you need to do and how to use it and make it very, very easy for you. What might have been difficult for me back 5 years ago, for you now becomes so easy. An hour and a half she might spend with you, and so much that you'll feel like running on the street and telling the neighbors. I mean, it's just amazing. Mike, you just had your advanced training with Mara Lee, so why don't you cross that?
Yeah, I just had the training. It took an hour and a half because I had a lot of questions. The training it's so detailed. She has the ability of being there with you on your machine, step by step, showing you what to do, how to do it. There is an incredible user manual. There are all kinds of great videos Dr. Luba has created and Marilee has created. And you have the ability of asking a question and sending an email and, continuing to learn. And obviously, this is a learning process. But if I can do it, I struggle with my toaster oven and my television. I had problems with my Alexa, based television today, and I ran into such an argument, and my wife said, "Oh, so you're having a problem with your other girlfriend?" I said, "Yeah, Alexa, I'm about to contact my lawyer. I want a divorce from this television." So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But again, that's the mark of a great company and the mark of a great product is you have great support and you have great minds behind it, like Dr. Luba. She's very, very humble, but what it takes to put something like this together, continue to refine it, improve it, and be able to teach the average person how to use it and get the benefits is genius. And this product has genius behind it, and as does the human body. The human body is a genius, and we want to match and treat that genius with the genius product. And I believe that that's what this is. Again, I don't get paid for this. I'm telling you this because I love you. I love all my listeners. I love everybody out there. I care so much about people's health. And a lot of people come to me with stuff just trying to make money and it doesn't work. And I've researched this for years. I'm using it. I know the people who are benefiting from it. I believe this is the future. I believe bioresonance, energy medicine, combined with AI is the future. So, Yeah. So, Barbara, did that answer your question before we move to someone else?
That does pretty much answer it. And the only other thing I was wondering about is in terms of the sequence, does the machine automatically know what protocol is best to go with? Or do you follow a certain protocol?
I could answer that. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Could answer that. No, the machine knows which organ to treat in the beginning, like 20 or 30 minutes, whatever you select. That's why
Okay.
the machine use ultra small frequencies to make your organs work. And that's the
Okay.
most powerful, I think, part of the machine. Okay, that's a patented technology. Okay, and because it's evaluating so much in in a few seconds, it's already evaluated so much and trying to normalize everything. The rest of it to reinforce that, on my opinion, it just make better results. But a lots of people get recovered just using that AI portion of the device. But I believe that the other one is reinforced in terms of infections, because I got great experience with that too. I got some strange infection and it goes away after first treatment of Monicor. And I'm still asking myself, what would a be right now what I would do if I wouldn't have the Monicor, because nobody knows how to treat certain infection. So the protocol, it doesn't go automatically, because it only goes automatically for the first 20, 30 minutes, whatever you select. For children, 15 minutes, but then the rest of them, you just got to print out just a page. It's very simple to use. It's everything done simple. So for people who are not familiar with human physiology, it just says you do number one, you do this, number two, you do this. And some people actually recently asked me to write protocol for them for every week of the year. This is to support healthy function in a healthy individual who doesn't have a disease, but how they could support themselves, maybe using Monicor once a week or twice a week. What would they do? Kind of be on that support. Also, I would like to mention that whatever Monicor treated, let's say you select bacteria, right? Some kind of bacteria. It doesn't mean you have to repeat all the time, because Monicor makes your body memorize that. Basically, your immune system will memorize how to treat that infection, and it will treat infection on its own. So you don't need to repeat the same infection over and over again. In very rare situations, you probably need to repeat a few times, but in a regular, regular infection like Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, E. coli, you only repeat several times, like in a month. So that's, I would like to make a point. Also, important thing that software has only two main buttons, only two. You either go to AI portion or you go into my protocol portion. That's it. So it's not like you see hundreds of buttons and you have to figure out. It's only two. If you're able to learn two buttons, you're already trained. And what the training means, basically, it's not necessarily how to use Monicor, because it's pretty simple to hook it up. It just what logic we use in treatment any disease, how you could make your body better, and what logic behind. And the logic is the same. It doesn't matter what disease you have, the logic, it's the same. That's what we train you in. So any other questions?
Thank you. That you really helped me a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara.
Mike, I'd love to just add to that, when Alden was being treated for cancer. So you would say, okay, cancer, what do you do for cancer? But what she did was she looked at his history too. So you look to your own history, because she said to Alden, have you ever had a very serious virus? And he said, yes, I had mononucleosis when I was 18, and I almost didn't graduate high school because I was sick so much of the year. I was so ill. And so to her, that meant, I'm going to treat the mononucleosis virus all the way back to chickenpox, this herpes that comes from chickenpox when we're young. And boy, it made a huge difference in his energy when she did that. So AI may have already been addressing that, but she put this extra attention on it because she knew his medical history, his background. The other thing, because he has cancer, she said, what toxins were you exposed to? And he said, well, when I was a kid, I had my own dark room from the time I was a little boy. And we didn't know that the chemicals back then were toxic, and we dipped our hands in. We didn't even wear gloves. We just dipped into the photochemicals. And so that obviously had registered in his body as heavy duty toxicity. And so she used detox a lot. And so you know yourself what your medical background is. And when you know that and you consider it, you can see why it's important to give a little extra time to this or give extra time to that, which is what Dr. Luba is talking about. After AI, then you decide what else do we want to look at. So for me, we knew we had liver issues, so we deal with parasites, right, for the liver. But the Monicor had already cured it because it looked at that. Now I say cured, Dr. Luba doesn't, but to me, I don't have malaria anymore. And so it's very exciting, but that's what the two-step process is. First AI, then Dr. Luba's protocols to allow your body to express its highest level of health.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
a lot of times certain conditions require only one treatment. That's it. Like, for example, even the most severe asthma disappears after one treatment. I was so surprised. We have a few cases like that, and I was very surprised. I even didn't get chance to get into infections, whatever my protocols, because the body started balancing itself, and the asthma disappeared, and the person suffered for 6 years.
Dr. Luba, yeah, we have a bunch of questions here.
Okay.
There's one request. Could you talk about the stress burden test function and correction? And might its result data assist engaging root cause?
Yes, it does, and you could use that to test yourself what is more prevalent, like your body respond more to viruses or to bacteria, yeah, or to certain thing. But you see, I used to use a lot that test, but then I kind of was thinking, but still my protocol doesn't change. You still have to go a certain order, because if you're not, you don't do benefit to your body. You don't recover faster, because there's a certain logic into that. And that's why even if I know like bacteria or virus maybe make my body more sick, and I really need to address that, I'm not going to jump on virus, because if that's what I will do, then it will make me sicker, and that day, and it's not beneficial, it will exterminate the virus. So we need to work on the same level. The stress burden test only good for your knowledge.
Okay. Another question here. This person has a heart rhythm condition. Can Monicor help the heart reverse a arrhythmia condition?
I did see in a certain, sometimes heart rhythm depends on a nervous system. It's all depends on the root cause, okay? Because when I seen the heart rhythm was off in some teenagers, in some adults that was super stressed, and the Monicor calmed them down, and heart rhythm totally normalized. Sometimes heart rhythm depends on the infection in the heart. That's another thing, because 99% of the heart condition is infection. And people need to remember that. It's a 99%. And 1% it's maybe birth defect on the heart condition. The rest of it, it's all rooted into infection. And so the heart could be off because of the certain infection in the body, in the heart. And that's important to it. That's why the protocols, it doesn't necessarily go and address just that. It's written the way that it makes your body better. Whatever it's possible, make it better, it will make it better. But
Mike, that is what I had.
heart
I had
rhythm,
yeah.
Yeah, but heart rate also could depend on the structural damage. And if Monicor cannot correct structural damage, maybe you could go to chiropractor, go swimming and exercise or do some stretching, then heart rhythm will be normalized later on by Monicor, because sometimes the nerves could be damaged in the spine and the heart rhythm, in the thoracic area, in the chest area. And Monicor, of course, cannot fix that. So it's not like silver bullet, but you need to address structural damage and Monicor, then you will be better off overall.
We have a bunch of people who've asked about Lyme's and Babesia infection. And I know you have specific protocols around Lyme's.
Yes.
Could you talk about that?
Yes. Yeah, and actually, I got my own experience with that. About 3 years ago, I got tremendous pain in one of my leg, which is out of blue, happens like for 1 hour, any time of the day, not necessarily every day, and I didn't really know what to do. And I decided to use the Lyme protocol, even though I was not formally diagnosed with Lyme, and I use only once, and that pain gone. And I was suffering actually for a year with that pain because I didn't think Monicor will treat it. I thought it was a structural damage in the nerve because the doctors told me I have a hernia or something in the spine, which damaging that nerve, and that's why my leg was in pain. And I decided to use Monicor. Actually, I used Babesia, Borrelia protocol. And one treatment, 1.5 hour, I was sitting on Monicor on Borrelia treatment on Lyme, and it's disappeared. And then I decided to repeat again the next day, and it was already not necessary because the pain gone, and been 3 years, it never came back. So that was my experience with Borrelia and the Lyme. With Lyme, we do have a lot of good reports, and because Lyme affect different organs of the people, and in some it's lungs, in some it's breathing, like sinuses, tremendous painful sinuses, in some it's just a general energy level of the body. And I remember a young person who was suffering with absolutely horrific Lyme disease, which affected his sinus, that he cannot even be in a room or going to school. He said Monicor, the only device, helped him significantly, that he was able to go to school and his sinus stopped bothering him. So there was the really a tremendous improvement. He said he tried many different things, supplements and different devices, and nothing really was working with his sinus. And Monicor fixed it, not in one time. It took us probably a month, but he started feeling better and better every time. So we and other people, like one lady from New York, she came in, Lyme affected her lungs. She cannot even fly on a plane because she has to drive with her relatives. She came to California by car, and she was able to improve herself so much that she flew back by plane. So she was able to breathe better. I'm not saying that we totally cure Lyme because I don't know. We don't follow up each person. But if people would like to report to us, we always welcome to listen to wonderful stories. But that was our experience with Lyme disease.
Okay. Another question. You have a protocol for Lyme's to help the body deal with Lyme's. Again, we don't want to make claims that we cure anything here. I cannot make that claim on this show, nor can we make that claim about a piece of equipment. But you do have protocols to help the body deal with Lyme's. You also have a separate protocol for Lyme eggs. Is that true? And how are they different?
No, we're trying to address Lyme disease from all points.
Okay.
But the Lyme's, it's like Borrelia. When Borrelia get into the body, it's damaging. Sometimes people don't know about it. And by the time they start developing symptoms, it's already a lot more infection piled up. It's almost like a stocking dolls. That's what's going on with infections. The longer you have the chronic problem, the more infections piled up in the body because the immune system weakens. And so we have a lot of different things for people to choose, even though my protocols only choose a few things that are very important, very essential. But for your information, you're welcome to explore more programs that it's preset there, like, for example, about Lyme or chakra balancing, for example. We just offering that to people. So if you like to explore, it's always there. You could always find a program that is good for you, maybe for today you like to use it, or for someone. And the one thing I would like to point out that please don't buy Monicor if you have a pacemaker or any kind of implanted digital devices that work, electrical devices, because Monicor will interfere with that. And we have in December a few cases like that. It's and Anne probably got that information, because it will stop other devices because Monicor will prevail. So do not use it because it will stop the pacemaker. So that's a precaution.
Okay, thank you. Another question, any experience with interstitial cystitis?
Absolutely. Yeah, with that one, I have it that way before I even developed my protocols. About 8 years ago, when older lady came in, and she was super skeptical because she was suffering with a cystitis for 20 years, I think, for many, many years, and nothing worked. And she said, how many times I have to come to you because somebody suggested maybe I will use it? And I said, well, I don't know. Because you suffer for 20 years, maybe you should try Monicor for like, I don't know, 10 times, I don't know. So she came one time, two time, after third time, it's all disappeared. And I remember I was in a store in California, she saw me and she started waving to me. She said, I still don't have a cystitis. It's been like 2 or 3 years. It never came back to her. Even though there's a certain conditions that I seen people, even my dear friend of mine, she has an interstitial cystitis and it's improved tremendously, but deep rooted, I approximately know what the problem is, but the Monicor didn't fix 100%. It's probably improved like 80%, I would say, but it didn't eliminate it 100% in her because she got some other additional condition that need to be addressed. So that's the experience. We got quite a bit experience with bladder, and usually it's very positive experience.
Great, thank you. Linda, you raised your hand and been patient. Do you have a question for Dr.?
Yeah, thank you. What about I had my hip replaced 6 years ago. I have a titanium hip. Would that affect, any results with this?
No, it didn't affect the results. It might not show
Okay.
certain points, but it's okay, because even my close relatives who got a hip replacement a few years before she got Monicor, and knee replacement, and she still got good results on about other stuff that she was treating. So it didn't affect negatively anything, and actually helped her to heal after surgery, and improve her other hip that they didn't do second hip replacement. So she was very happy with that.
Great, thank you. And I have one more question. Would this be something like I could use on my cat who
No,
has a bad ear infection right now? That's
in
nothing's
a,
curing.
in a, You could technically use Monicor technology on any animals like birds and cats and dogs, but you cannot hook them up. You have to use a homeopathic feature that is built into Monicor, and you have a kit comes with Monicor in it, and so you could make a little homeopathy with for very specific infections. And by the way, in my dog, I totally cured the ear infection, recurrent ear infection with colloidal silver. It was before I even, way before Monicor.
Okay, yeah, because I had another cat. Well, my other cat a few years ago had one, and I ended up doing remote energy medicine healing sessions on Zoom, 2 of them, and then I'd work on him every day, and that cured what a year of antibiotics couldn't touch. So I'm just amazed at how great it worked.
Yeah, but you could
but
treat
but with
even.
this cat,
Yeah.
it's not happening just yet. So.
Mhm.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm going to look into it because I've had like a big journey, dysbiosis, parasites, you name it, candida, like special diet for the last year. And I started thinking I need a different modality for healing, more vibrational. And I've done some sound healing, but I'm going to look into it. This sounds just amazing what you have
Well,
to
this is a
offer.
smart device,
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
and I would like to point out that we only manufacture so many per month because
Mhm.
we calibrate the device. It gets a special technology which allow us to calibrate those devices. Otherwise, they're not going to be that perfect. So each device, it has its own software. That's
Okay.
so we need to our programmers work like, for example, if we manufacture 30 devices, we wrote 30 softwares.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, once again, there's a lot of folks in the chat asking, how do I get more information? info@monicorusa.com. If you go to monicorusa.com, you'll see all of the contact information in there as well. And that's where you can address your questions. You can order it. If you're a practitioner, you can ask questions about using it in your practice. That's where you go. I have a favor to ask, and that is if you would all like to watch this broadcast again, you have 2 choices. If you email me at your9steps, that's yourninesteps @gmail.com. It's in the chat. If you would email me and request to be on my email list, I would appreciate that. And you will find out about how to watch replays of this. The other instant way of you watching the replay would be if you are a Facebook friend of mine and you would like to be able to watch that replay, just go to my Facebook page. Here's my Facebook page address. And I would appreciate if you request me adding you to my Facebook friends. Then you can go to my Facebook page, watch this replay anytime. Also, I have many other past shows about energy medicine and about vibratory medicine, light and sound medicine, all kinds of advanced healthcare technologies. I would invite you to come and join me on Facebook, and you'll be able to replay this. I will also then send you a link to my YouTube channel, where we also have copies of this show and other shows. And again, for more information, monicorusa.com for more information about Monicor. Send me an email at your9steps@gmail.com to get on my email list. And you will be also informed about future shows. I have 2 new shows now every month, and then 2 recordings played for the Integrative Wellness and Development Show. Any other questions? We have time for one more question and then time for last words by Dr. Luba. And And so any last questions before we do that? I don't see any more. Boy, we've had a lot of people join us on Facebook.
Jeannie, Mike.
Jeannie, hi Jeannie.
Hi, Michael. I'm not going to put my video on because I'm in my
That's fine.
PJs. But quick question for Dr. Luba. I have been trained and I know the basic. There's 3 parts to using the machine. Use the AI, look for any pathogens regarding a situation, and then maybe look to see if there are any specific protocols like for a specific label. But I haven't been able to find anything for ganglionic cysts. Can she talk about that for a minute?
Yes, we don't have a specific protocols for specific disease. We got a generic protocols which will address the cyst or whatever it is, because behind any cyst or any wounds, it's still infection behind. And I'm strongly believe in that based on tremendous research and not just done by me in medical schools, but by other doctors. So when we address infection on assumption, because I even don't know what infection could potentially cause the cyst, then the cyst should improve. So, and also because I've seen in some of my friends, the cyst either did not grow and didn't increase in size and kind of solidify, and that's it. And the doctor said nothing need to be done, or the cyst will disappear. But that's why the protocol is done not to address specific cyst or write a program for a cyst or for anything else. The protocol is written the way that we don't leave any stone unturned, that we will address that and that because we work on assumption. And assumption for me is better than if you go and test for certain infection and maybe you have a certain infection, but there's an assumption, I still assume you have some other infections in addition. But if you don't have an infection, it's okay. It's still, your body still will benefit. It's not going to hurt the body. You know, that's one thing. I mean, it's that's how the Monicor works. And also, I would like to mention now with a new version that we just implementing this year, we have 5 artificial intelligence programs that improve the memory, improve the cognitive abilities, so everybody will get smarter.
Just an addendum to that, would you say the same thing for lipomas to work on assumption that there's an infection involved?
It's the same protocol, same logic on the protocol.
Okay.
You could add something else to that, but the same logic in every protocol. And the protocol is written that way that if you don't know which one to use, anyone still will improve your health. So it's not really. I wrote the protocols that and it says lung or a breathing system, digestive system, but it really doesn't matter which one you use because there's a redundancy there. So it still addresses your issue. That's an important thing. Also, I would rely on artificial intelligence, that first program that AI will do, like 20 or 30 minutes, because it will give you a hint where the problem is, and then you could go from there. For example, I was teaching my little granddaughter, she got some kind of look like a flu or cold, and Monicor actually hinted into certain infection. And I was very happy that it did, you know, so.
Great. Ruth.
I just
Ruth
want to
H.
thank Dr. Luba. I bought the Monicor in August from, I bought it and Marilee gave me tons of training. I want to thank Ann too for encouraging me. It's been so amazing. I can't even begin to tell you. And my blood work is perfect. Every time I go to the doctor, she says, "Are you taking your medicine?" And I'm on a very low dose of something. And I haven't gone for any scans recently, but honestly, I feel tremendous, healthy. I could run a mile. It wasn't snowing here. And so I'm really just saying thank you to you for this amazing, amazing machine. And thanks to Marilee for her training and to Ann too. Thank you for having this, Michael. I'm going to definitely email you.
You're very, very welcome,
Great
and
to
I hope
hear.
you'll. Yeah, I echo your thanks tremendously to Dr. Luba, to Ann, and everyone, Marilee, who associated with this. One last question here, a couple of last questions here. This person is asking, it sounds like the AI treatment protocol is the best standard to achieve optimal treatments for non-critical symptomology when used at regular intervals of 20 to 30 minutes every other day. Is that correct assumption?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely correct assumption.
Boom.
Yeah.
You nailed it, Kelly. That's great. Two more. Sorry, there's just two more.
Mike, I wanted to just address something because somebody before the show asked me about this. And I want people to know that if they have cancer and they're already on a cancer protocol, like low dose chemo or something like that, to not think that they therefore cannot use the Monicor. And I would love it if Dr. Luba would just approach that, because there are a lot of people using this for cancer now. And some people are able to, really use all natural, but other people are not. They're doing integrative medicine with standard protocols. And Dr. Luba, if you could just address that briefly.
Yeah, this question actually one very common question that people ask because when people are on a chemotherapy, if they could use Monicor, Monicor will not interfere with chemotherapy. It will just make your body stronger. And so you could sustain and feel better during chemotherapy rather than worse. And whatever it could be improved, it will improve. Also, we didn't mention that Monicor has a passive treatment and active treatment. And active treatment is the most effective also. When AI running that treatment, there's a certain thing you could do, so you don't need to lay down and just absorb the treatment, which is passive treatment, right? Like hook me up and that's it, and I'll do something. But the active treatment, when you do something, like in certain instances, you could move during the treatment a certain way, or you could make motion some kind of with the hands to improve that. So there's a certain thing you could do during the treatment. It's create amazing results, and it's make your body stronger.
Thank you. That's a real important question. Still getting, Dr. Luba, I apologize, still getting a lot more questions here. Can Monicor help with Parkinson's and Parkinson's?
Absolutely. That's when we got a great result. And actually, before I didn't know because nobody with Parkinson came, to Monicor. And then we have our friend and his mom, who is not old, she's like 60-year-old. She suffered with Parkinson for a few years already, and she has a house helper because she's not able to do many things. And what's happened, they purchased the Monicor in July of the past year. And the main complaint of that lady was that she couldn't sleep for 2 months completely. The Parkinson kept her awake, and she was totally exhausted because for 2 months, absolutely zero sleep. And Monicor put her to sleep in the very first session. That's the very first improvement, that she was super happy because she started sleeping from that day. Every day she slept. Then what's happened about August, that she doesn't need a helper anymore at the house. She was able to do lots of things. She's able to do now lots of things on her own. Also, her tremor even managed to stop sometime for an hour or 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So overall, she feels better. Of course, it's not like it's cure her for Parkinson, but improve and create quality of life So she enjoy her life more. She is asleep. She's not exhausted. And we're really hoping that we will do more improvement with that, because I was even trying to change the protocol. But so far, we got only one person with Parkinson that I closely monitor, because they live in Las Vegas, and I could always ask questions, and we kind of went over and kind of readjust the protocols and addressing her digestive system with Parkinson, which is very important. And now her digestive system improved a lot. So overall, we have a very positive results from a very first session.
That is so encouraging. So encouraging. How about, general balancing of blood pressure, blood glucose levels, blood acidity levels? I'm sure
Well,
that,
diabetic people did use it, and especially diabetes 1, we have a good reports because those people measure their how much insulin they take and what their sugar level was. And even though diabetes is very complex disease, it depends on what you eat and many other things what you do. But with diabetes 1, I remember, like, as one of the example, there's many, many examples, but I remember one 11-year-old boy, he was diagnosed with diabetes 1. He was on insulin. He has no energy. And when he came back after very first treatment, he reported to me that he was running with kids on the street. He was playing football, absolutely tremendous energy level. And his glucose level dropped to normal level, like without all this, jump. So it was normalized. The very first session, during very first section, it's normalized his glucose level. So he was, as a kid, he reported to me, So that was one of the examples, but there was many other examples, same nature. But with diabetes, for example, I always suggest a certain diet.
okay, someone asked about acidity levels, your pH levels, acidity levels. Can Monicor help
Well,
in
we
balance?
don't really, as again, I will repeat that we don't necessarily go in and following up if I have to, but I
Yeah.
know in some people where I got a chance to use 3D body scan monitoring as a monitoring device, which very closely monitor acidity level, not a urine, not a blood, but it's a very important acidity level in interstitial fluid. And we have a device that monitor not just that, it monitor other 2000 parameters. But when we use Monicor for treatment of one lady, and we use 3D body scan to scan her, we notice a tremendous improvement within a week of the improvement of acidity level to perfect, to literally normal acidity level in interstitial fluid. That's the one, it's super important. We use a specific Davenport diagram to diagnose that, and that it was I didn't really expect it that in 1 week it will improve so much. So in some points we have a chance to use 3D body scan, but in many people I cannot tell because we don't have that possibility, right? Because they're not like in Las Vegas or anywhere. But if they will come here, we could monitor the acidity level.
Okay, well, I'm sure there's a lot more people out there with questions. And again, the best thing for you to do at this point is to contact the folks at Monicor at monicorusa.com, info@monicorusa.com, and you'll be able to ask your questions, get information about how either to purchase device, or if you are a practitioner, how to get a device for your practice. If you are someone looking to see a practitioner, you may want to talk to your practitioner about getting the device if there isn't one in your area. I highly recommend that you look into this deeply. I believe this trend is the future trend in healthcare and health, good health. I want to thank Dr. Luba and Ann from the bottom of my heart and all my other organs and body systems and acupuncture points. Thank you so much for your dedication to health, for the years it took Dr. Luba to create something like this, continue to improve it, spread the word, and make it available for people to change their lives. Our health is our most valuable asset, right? There's nothing in your stock portfolio, crypto portfolio, real estate portfolio, any portfolio that is more important than your health. And so making an investment in your health is a very, very wise long-term investment with short-term immediate results and long-term results. I say this not because I'm trying to sell you anything. I'm saying this because I love you. I'm saying this because I care about you. And when I find things that work, I share it with the people I love and care about. So again, go to monicorusa.com for more information. And also as a favor to yourself and to friends who might want to see this recording, want to see this interview again. And Dr. Luba, if it's okay with you and Ann, I'd like to have you back in in a few months, and because I'm not sure there's going to be a lot more to talk about. There's a lot of questions that haven't been answered and a lot of people who didn't get a chance to see this interview. So I'll look forward to having you back on the show. And again, if you want to see the replay, please, you can join me on my Facebook page. And also, please join me by emailing me at your9steps, yourninesteps @gmail.com. It's in the chat. Email me there and I will make sure that you have access to this recording and also access to my YouTube page. And as a favor to me, if you'd go to my YouTube page and you would join my YouTube page and like it, that will help me be able to share this information with a lot more people, give my page a lot more accessibility to people. So again, if you have more questions, please, contact monicorusa.com. It's in the chat. And also, if you would send me an email, your9steps@gmail.com, if you want to get information about the replay of this. I'm also going to send Marilee at Monicor the information if people want to see the replay of the video. So with that, thank you again, Dr. Luba. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, everybody who joined us, who have stayed. We've gone a little bit over, but that's the benefit of having your own show. I can go on as long as I want. I don't have advertisers and producers and stuff bothering me. And I'm going to have a lot more shows coming up with a lot more great information and technology to help you. So with that, I wish you all a good night. I wish you all good health. I wish you all a good life. Remember, you're precious. You're certainly precious to me. You're precious to your family, and you're precious to the world. Take good care of yourself. You're needed.
Thank you, Michael.
You're very much needed. You're very, very welcome. Thanks for taking the time. We'll see many of you again on future shows. And we'll definitely see Dr. Luba, Ann, and Marilee again real soon. So
Thank you,
take
Mike.
care, everybody. You're so welcome.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you, Dr. Luba. Good
Thank you
night.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.